Welcome to another video. This is JC DIAZ. Welcome. I have the privilege to start working with a person that's really important in my life, and is my son, JC. JC, how are you? Say hi to the audience, and go ahead and introduce yourself and let them know what we're doing here.
I'm doing good. It's a privilege, that you had me over here. Excited to start this new journey. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the Diaz Company. We're gonna put the link in the description for you guys to go and follow, subscribe. We're gonna be posting 2-3 times. I'm gonna try to get to post 5 times a week on there. I am a full-time college student, so um, we're gonna work our way up to posting, news, pop culture, anything, thoughts about the world around me, and commentary about many different things, sports, music, whole bunch of things. So if you guys are into that thing, go and go and follow the kid.
Awesome, awesome. That's awesome, man.
All
Uh, like
right.
he, like he was just saying, go ahead and hit like, share, and subscribe. Help us grow. We are brand new doing this. Help us grow. We will continue to work hard and bring good content for you guys. So, JC, what are we talking about today? I have a few things, but you want to go ahead and let the audience know what we're talking about today?
I know you had wanted us to talk about a few things on the politics side, namely specifically the Don Lemon situation that has occurred, the arrests that has happened over the last day. Um, I know you had wanted to speak about the Nicki Minaj situation with her endorsing Trump and receiving a Donald Trump gold card, and her donating into his whatever he has going on into MAGA. She's full on MAGA now. Um, and then I had wanted us to talk about um, you know some things with the Dominican UFC fighter Waldo Cortez Acosta. He's going
Oh, I like
viral
that.
for going and doing his thing in that respective sport of his. And I also wanted to touch base on some things about the NBA players, specifically Anthony Edwards and Victor Wembanyama, and their thoughts on the Minnesota riots.
Yes,
And
sir.
I just want to, I want to see what we have to talk about those things. See what we have
All
to say.
right. All right, so I'm gonna give you my part. So let's start with the Don Lemon thing. Let's get that out the way
Let's
right
do it.
away, because that's
Headlines.
I love talking about that part, right? So I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Don't let what I think, because I watched the entire stream from when he first arrived. First of all, Don Lemon getting arrested is completely uncalled for, and this is my own opinion, right? Everybody has their own opinion. This is to me, is a violation to the Constitution. We all have our constitutional right to freedom of press, which is the First Amendment of the Constitution. It's the most important one. If we lose that one, we're pretty much done in this country. He was. I watched the whole stream. I watched the whole stream. He was out there. He arrived there to the parking lot. He encountered a group of people, and they let him know they were going to a church and they were going to protest. To me, he didn't commit any crime. He didn't do anything. He's been doing this for about 30 years. He went into the church, and as you can see on the videos that they've shown, I mean, we've all seen the videos. He was just asking questions. He was doing his job. I think he didn't do anything wrong. Actually, the DOJ went to five different judges, trying to get a signed warrant so they can come and get Don Lemon. But none of them approved it. They said no, he didn't. They all rejected it because they all said Don Lemon didn't commit any crime. But what they did is they went into in the Department of Justice, what happens is, if you cannot get a judge to sign for a warrant, what they will do is they will go to a they go to the grand jury. Thank you. They go to the grand jury, and if they can get, I think it's 12 people, 12 of my peers. If they can get 12 people to agree, they can sign, and then they can go and get them. And I think that's the only way they could get it. Now we don't know all the details. We just know that he's being charged with violating the civil rights. That's what I read today. That he's being charged with violating the civil rights of the people who went to that church. So my opinion is I don't think it's right. We are, deviating from what the real issues are, which we already know what it is. But that's something for another video. But on my opinion, I don't think he should have been arrested. But that's my own opinion. So I don't know how you feel about it.
So I did do a little bit of research on it. I saw that they're trying to get him with violating the PACE Act, which is it's protecting this places of worship and prayer, and of course churches fall under those lines. Um, I don't know if I agree with it too much because really the bottom line is, let's look at the crime, right? They have to prove if he was a participant with the protesters.
Yes.
Um, that's gonna obviously be up to the jury, the judge, whoever, if there is a
They're
case
gonna have
where
to prove. They're gonna
they're
have
gonna
to
have to prove
prove
beyond reasonable doubt that he
exactly,
was a participant, that he was
exactly.
in any part, leading that protest, or if he was just reporting and being neutral and being biased. Um,
Yes.
or if he was encouraging other protesters to go in and, there I heard some headlines that there were protesters blocking children from their parents and screaming at parents, saying, a whole bunch of things. Whether I agree with the protesters or not doesn't really matter. For Don Lemon's case, we're looking at Don Lemon's, you know, constitutional rights, freedom of press. Um, but what I do say is, was it a smart move by Don Lemon? I'm not sure. Because everything is super, everything's hot water right now. It's a boiling point in Minnesota right now with all the riots right now. It's just it's a tricky situation overall. And you know, I think that it's we need people on the front lines getting real world information to us, the American people, because the way these CNN, Fox News, they distort the media. I think it's important that we have people on the front lines, showing what's actually going on.
Yes.
So I think it's a very tricky situation, and instead of putting effort into stopping the riot, stopping these unlawful detainments by ICE. They're going in just trying to stop the journalists from
Yes.
reporting real news, and that's all from the MAGA Trump organization. So I don't know. It's a
I
very tricky
I
situation. Yeah.
see the way I see it is if Don Lemon went in with the crowd and he went in saying, we are protest. If he was a part of the protest, like if he went in the crowd and started, chanting or shouting or whatever, saying, I'm part of the protesters or whatever, but he never did that. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that is completely different. It is unfortunate, but like you said, everyone is responsible for their own acts. You're responsible for what you're doing with your life. Right now, we're in hot water, but I do believe that we have to keep supporting independent media like we are. We're new on this, but we're independent media. So we have to keep enforcing and reinforcing the fact that we cannot lose our freedom of speech. If we lose that, in my opinion, the government is using this to intimidate the American people, especially the press, And if we let that happen, it's just gonna get worse. It could get ugly in this country, and I don't think we can let that happen. So that's my opinion. But
I
so
agree.
how you agree with that? So
I
all right,
agree with that.
so let's move on. So wait, before we move on, is freedom of speech in danger in this country? Do you think freedom of speech is in danger?
I think freedom of speech has been in danger for a while. I think that it really started with it really started with I because I'm not Republican or Democrat. I think it started with the FBI, and because we had seen that the FBI was in cahoots with Twitter and Facebook back then in, let's say, 2020, 2016, on both sides. They're trying to they're saying that
They
they're
were allegedly, right?
allegedly, yeah,
Yeah.
in cahoots with these organizations. And once that happens, then the other side is gonna fight back. Once the other side is in power, then now they're gonna try to manipulate their power to do the same thing on the other side. So I think that it's been in danger for a while. Um, it's unfortunate because that's what the backbone of our country is based upon: freedom of speech, freedom of
Pretty
press,
much.
freedom of religion. It's the First Amendment for a reason. It's the first one
Yeah.
because everything else relies on the First Amendment, the freedom of thought, of these things. So I think it's unfortunate. I think it's very important for these for the American people to get unbiased, real world information, real time information. And yeah, I don't know. It just seems like our country has been hijacked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I believe so far freedom of speech is not in danger so far, but I do believe the government, and I want the audience to understand this. When I talk about the government, I'm not only talking about who is in power right now. When I mention the government, I talk about the government as a whole, because I want to make sure that people understand I'm not Democrat or Republican. I am an independent. I don't care for either one of them. So when I mention the government, what I'm saying is the government as a whole, the three branches, right? Judicial, legislative, and executive. There's three branches in the government. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. I believe freedom of speech still to me is still not in danger, but the person that's in power right now is going to test how far they can take it
How far they can
and
go.
how
Right.
far they can go. And if we don't fight back, if we don't say no, if we don't make a stand, if we let that go, whoever comes in power from either side, right? Whoever comes on power is going. If we allow, it's gonna get worse. They're gonna try it even worse. So I don't think it's in danger yet, but we do have to push back. Like this stuff that's happening with Don Lemon. I don't believe on my side. I don't believe that he committed any crime, but that has to be obviously it's gonna have to be he's gonna have to go in front of the judge and all that. It'll be decided. I really didn't see anything, but I don't think we're still in danger of freedom of speech. But we cannot allow for this for our freedom of speech to just end, because that would be the end of America as we know it. All right, so we're going to move on. So let's talk about our second headline of this week, and it's Nicki Minaj. Man, she's doing her thing. She went and got her Trump card. This Trump card is worth $1 million, and what it does is it will fast track your ability to become a U.S. citizen. So once you pay the $1 million, you pay, you get your Trump card, you automatically become a resident. You get a green card, and then it fast tracks that you can fill out the application and become a U.S. citizen. So you know what? A lot of people are mad at Nicki Minaj because she's, everybody's saying, the same people that used to dance to her music and stuff are the same people who are asking for her to be canceled. You know what I mean? And I really don't blame her for doing what she needs to do. Like, she came to the US when she was a little girl, and her parents brought her, and she was illegal here in the US. I think they overstayed their visa, if I'm not mistaken, allegedly. And but hey, props to Nicki Minaj, man. She's doing what she needed to do. The world can hate all they want. This new this new cancel culture that we have in this country, I think is out of control. Sometimes it depends, because we have selective we tend to have selective cancel culture, depending on if it's a convenient for us. If it's not convenient for us, then we don't cancel someone. So it all depends on who we like. So what I was thinking is the same people who were dancing to her music and celebrating her, now everybody wanted her deported. Now everybody's hating on Nicki Minaj because she did what she had to do. Now, about her going at Don Lemon, calling all kinds of names and stuff, I don't agree with that. We're not little kids. We're not in high school anymore. Nikki, come on, you can do better than that. You don't have to be calling people names and stuff and telling him that he's blowing whatever. We don't need to hear that. Like, just get your citizenship, do your thing, girl, do what you have to do. But don't be out here acting like we're back in high school. That's uncalled for. But that's my opinion about Nicki Minaj. I really don't have much to say about it. I just feel like, just like everybody else, she has the right to do what makes her life better. And if becoming a U.S. citizen is something that we all need to do in order to be legal in this country, I don't blame her for doing what she needed to do. And she took the opportunity. And those who are haters, they can hate some more. And I don't. If you guys don't like what I'm saying, hey, you don't have to like it. Just comment below, comment on, go in the comment section and comment about it. But it is what it is. If you don't like it, it is what it is. I feel like she did what she needed to do to be happy. She's about to become a U.S. citizen, and she's life goes on, man. It's not time to be hating in these times. So that's my opinion about it. How do you feel about it?
So this is what I feel about it. So you mentioned that she is, an immigrant. Um, I'm not sure what country did she come from. Is it like Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, she did come from Trinidad and Tobago, and she came when she was a little girl. I think she was like
Right.
5 or 6
Yeah, so
years
she's an
old.
immigrant. She's an immigrant.
Yes.
So, I think we have to look at it as from a different lens. She's not an American citizen. She's an immigrant, and she has some sort of, financial advancement in this country. Um, and, I think, unfortunately, or fortunately for her, I think, she's probably looking at it as she wants to protect her family. And at the end of the day,
Facts.
the closest thing to us and the most important thing to us should be our family and the people closest to us. And I think she's making this move to protect her family. And also, in her mind, she's probably looking at this as a legacy move. She's looking at this as, I'm going to be in the history books uh, for endorsing Trump. I was at Trump's, whatever ceremonies that he's having, these speeches. He brought me up there, and he endorsed me as I'm endorsing him, and she is gonna be in the history books for 100 years from now.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
America is still here for 100 years from now, if people do their research and people want to know about these presidents, she's going to be in those legacy history books. So she's making this move for herself, for her family. Whether you agree with, um, you know,
the politics side of it, you know, it doesn't it's kind of irrelevant in her case. From her side, a lot of people would do the same thing if they were in her shoes.
And that's a
Uh,
fact. Absolutely.
at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
many people
Absolutely.
would do the same thing. I'm not saying I would, but a part of me probably would if that would keep my family to stay in the U.S. and for the betterment of my family. It's a hard choice. So I can't really get on her about that because at the end of the day, she's also a woman. Um, like I don't want to get into the whole woman versus men, but men are really supposed to be the rebels politically. Have it, women are supposed to take care of their family. They're the nurturing side of humans. So I can't blame her if she's looking at this as a as a move to better her life and her family's life. It is what it is. Um,
Facts. Facts.
it is what it is.
I heard. I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't double checked. I haven't done too much research, but she's lost over like 5 million followers since she came out supporting Trump, and you know, hey, this is why I hate politics. I hate politics, but we have to talk about it, unfortunately, because it is part of our everyday lives pretty much. And if she chooses, I made a video about this the other day, if she chooses to support Trump, it's not your problem. Like, no matter what she does, if she supports Trump, you don't support her. She makes her own money. You still have to get up to work and go to work and support your family. She doesn't have to. Whatever decision she makes has no influence on your life whatsoever. You still have to get up and go to work and do your thing, regardless of who she supports. So I don't understand what the big deal is with all these people going crazy because she supports Trump. You know what I mean? Like, there's been people are literally, I've seen people on TikTok and Instagram crying because Nicki Minaj is supporting Trump, crying. And these people are so, some of these people are so delusional. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Why would you if you're letting a celebrity influence your life so much that it affects you mentally, you need help. You need
I
help.
agree. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think people need to live their own life, need to stop living through these celebrities. These are people that don't have enough going on in their life, or they have a lot too much going on in their life, and they're living through these celebrities to give themselves some sort of happiness because their own life isn't as happy as they want it to be. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So, all right, we're moving on now. This next headline, right? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't do too much research about this one. JC knows a lot more about it. So I'm gonna let you, JC, start with this one. Let's talk about it, and I'll give you my input depending on what I hear from you. So what are we talking about? What is this next? Is the UFC fighter?
Yes. So, pretty much, of course, if you guys haven't known already, I am of Dominican descent. My father here, he was born in the Dominican Republic. My mother was also born in the Dominican Republic. My mother came here when she was 18 years old. My father came here when he was what? When you were 20 years old,
20, yeah.
20, 21, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, uh, I wasn't born in the U.S., but I have spent a lot of time in the Dominican Republic. I've visited many times. I've spent a lot of time over there, and I'm very much in tune with my Dominican side. And so I have a lot of Dominican pride. And so I've just been, proud of this Dominican fighter that has came out the woodwork and over the last year has has fought and won most of his fights in the UFC. He's only lost 2 fights. He's won about six, seven, eight. I think he's about 10-2 now. In the ever since he's been in the UFC. He used to be a
What's his
boxing
name?
player.
What's his
His
name?
name is Waldo Cortez Acosta. Um,
Okay.
I think he's from this. I think he's from Barahona, and
Okay.
so pretty much, I've been following his story for about a month now. Ever since seeing his clips on TikTok, he has recently fought this fighter, this African American fighter. His nickname is the Black Beast. His name is Derek Lewis, and he's been very accomplished in his UFC career. And pretty much leading up to this fight, how they do the press conferences and all that stuff. He was pretty much talking crap, saying, "Oh, I want to beat this guy up." Derek Lewis was talking about Waldo, saying he wanted to beat Waldo up because Waldo is a Dominican that doesn't claim his black heritage, black
Oh
side,
boy.
and
Oh
he was
boy.
pretty much saying he's a me no black, I'm Dominican type of guy, right? And that's what I really wanted to get into because Waldo came out saying he came out acknowledging his African side. He said that his dad is a darker skin, has African descent clearly because the Dominican Republic we have African descent because of the
Yeah,
slaves that were
absolutely.
brought up over there. If you look at my skin, I'm a darker skin thanks to my dad because we have, of course, there's African blood in us, of course, but there's a difference between race and nationality. When Dominicans
Facts.
say we're Dominican, we're saying we're Dominican because of our culture. When African Americans say they're black, that is their culture. That is what they identify as. That is their nationality. That is not something that happens outside of the US. Africans do not say they're black. They say they're, let's say if there's a Nigerian from Nigeria, he says he is Nigerian. He doesn't say he is black. Africans do not say that they're black. They claim their country.
Yeah,
They
they
say
say they're Nigerians. Like
they're Nigerian.
if you're from Venezuela, you say you're Venezuelan,
I'm
you know?
Venezuelan.
Yeah, yeah.
Being black is something that the white man has labeled the African Americans through slavery, through Jim Crow laws, through all of that stuff. So, pretty much, Waldo put the brakes on him, beat him, and I'm proud of him because I'm Dominican, and I think we need some more representation in some sports that we're not represented as much as. So, that's really what I just wanted to talk about because I think it's important that people understand that us Dominicans we acknowledge our African descendants, we acknowledge our black side.
Absolutely.
It's two different conversations that people are having, and I think
Yes.
that people need to be aware that there's heavy African influence even in our music, such as merengue and bachata with the drums and uh, the way we speak. Um, it's there's a lot of influences, and we do acknowledge that, but we also acknowledge that we have our own culture and that
Absolutely.
we are not the same. When Dominicans look at the term black, we think of African Americans. When we say we're not black, we say we're not African American because we're not. We're
Facts.
Dominican.
Facts.
It is what it
Facts.
is. That's just how it is.
You know, I see this all the time online. I see these arguments is all the time online. People trying to blame Dominicans, always saying me no black, I'm not black. Come on, guys. Like, why are we acting like we're in high school? Like, literally, like just like JC said. Do you think we don't know we have Africa? I mean, look at us. Are
Look
you
at us.
serious right now? Like,
Look at
look
my
at us.
hair. Look at
Yeah.
this.
Like,
That's
you don't think
obviously I'm
we
black.
know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't think we know that we have African descent? Like, when we, and just like he explained, when we say we are Dominicans, it is what it is. I think the United States is the only country in the world where everything is in color. Everything is qualified. Everything is put into a category. Everything is put into color, and it is crazy. This is the only country. If you go to Dominican Republic, everybody's Dominican over there. If you go to Venezuela, everybody's Venezuelan. If you go to Australia, what are they? They're Australian. Only in the United States, you go there, you come here, and everybody, you have to be yellow or black or purple, whatever, which is, it's ridiculous to me. But like you said, this is what has happened throughout history. When you bring, when the, once the United States was founded and they started bringing all the slaves, and you created this division, because let me tell you, this is gonna get deep. This is gonna get deep because,
Get deep, of course. It
it's
had to.
gonna get
It
deep.
had
Let me
to.
tell you, before white people, before they did what they did to the slaves, they were killing each other in their own countries. When Spain took over Dominican Republic, you have France taking over the other side. First it was France, then it turned into Spain. Then they were fighting each other, and that's how Dominican and Haiti came together. Because we had on one side we had the French, we had on the other side we had the Spanish people, and there was a war. And then, but they were both whites. France and Spain, both white countries. Now, once they bring the slaves to the United States, and they found somebody else to hate on, they stopped hating each other. They started telling the poor white people, see the blacks, those are your enemies. Those are your enemies.
White people have been killing each other for years,
Forever.
for
Forever.
thousands of years. I
Yes.
don't want to get
Until,
too much into the race based. They say
yes.
black people are violent. White people are the most violent people on earth.
That would be for another
That is a
video,
fact.
because that's the whole different video that we can talk
Of
about.
course, of course.
But to your point, of course we know we have African, but Dominicans are a mix of many different races. And when we say we are now black, like you just said, it doesn't mean that we're not saying we're not black. Like, we are Dominican. We're still, look at our skin color. We're just not African American like you guys always say, because that's the title that you guys have been given in this country. And that's not Dominicans' fault that you have been given a title in your country, in this country, and we have our own nationality over there. So there is a difference. There is a difference. And I love everybody. I love my African Americans, I love my Dominicans, I love my white people, I love everybody, like I always say. So I do agree with you. I absolutely, absolutely. Anything else you want to say about this subject?
No, we'll keep it. We'll keep it there because I don't want to piss too many people off right here. So we'll keep it. We'll keep it. We'll keep it short right there.
Trust me, we are gonna have a lot of content to talk about. Trust me. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. So our last subject, and I'm an NBA fan. Although
Enthusiast.
the NBA has changed over probably the last 5 years, I've lost a lot of interest for the NBA, and I don't know if it has to do because with the fact that I'm a kind of like an old school, I'm an old school guy, and the new style of basketball, only shooting threes, I'm not really too interested about it, and but this is something that this next headline or subject is something really important, because especially because of the climate that we are living now in our country, right? And this is important to that we talk about it and that we bring it up. Should the NBA players be allowed to give their opinion on political issues? I'll let you go first, and then I'll give you my input.
So I wanted to also talk about this subject because, um, first I had seen Anthony Edwards had spoken and was asked about the Minneapolis riots in his backyard of Minnesota. Of course, he plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards is one of the top NBA players right now, up and coming. He's about 24, 25 years old. He's a superstar. And of course, everybody knows about the riots going on, the ICE protest, and all that stuff. And he was asked by the media after a game or before a game, how does he feel about these things? And he kind of gave a neutral based kind of commentary. He pretty much summed it up saying, "Oh, I don't really have social media. I'm not really in tune with everything that's going on, but I pray for everybody that's out there." That's pretty much what he said. Um, I was kind of disappointed about what he said because um, not so much disappointed, but it felt kind of fake. You don't need to have social media to know what's going on in your own city. Um, this is in your own city. This is happening. People are talking about this. Um, so I think that it goes along the lines of people compare him to Michael Jordan. But he's a shooting guard, high flying. Their play styles, the way they talk, it's kind of similar to Michael Jordan when he was coming up and when he was in his career. Michael Jordan, if you don't know, he didn't speak. The black community didn't feel like he was speaking enough for their issues and the things that black people stood for, and denouncing things, and on the politics side. This is a thing that people have said many times about Michael Jordan, that he didn't speak enough about real world issues. So I think that there's a lot of parallels between him and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards just wants to keep it basketball, wants to keep his image neutral. He doesn't want to lean too much on one side or the other side because he wants, he doesn't want to, rub people the wrong way. Um, on the contrary, Victor Wembanyama, he had spoke about the Minnesota stuff because he was asked about it, and he had more to say about it. He said he was disheartened about everything that's going on, and he didn't want to get too much into it because he is an immigrant himself. He is on a visa, on a working visa, and he didn't want to stir up too much because of course he wants to keep his profession in America. He wants to continue to live in America. But he clearly showed um, his let's say, you know,
His views.
his views and pretty much denouncing uh, on what ICE is doing over there in Minnesota, and he is pretty much standing up for Minnesota. I mean, standing up for the immigrants and everything that's going on, and that reminded me about, because they always compare these new players to the old players. That reminded me about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Bill Russells of back then, because they were very much into being political activists and laying out their views for everybody, and they wanted to change history and wanted to make an impact on pop culture and the culture of young people, and how they were brought up, and so that was a positive thing. I believe, I think it was very positive in what he said for himself and for people that are fans of him. So I like what Wembanyama said, and I like the parallels between him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar obviously has a few books out, and he's very outspoken on things. He's known to not be the biggest fan of media, and not to have the best relationship with media. So that's what I liked about that.
I'm gonna give you my part. So again, everybody has freedom of speech in this country. Everybody's allowed to express their mind, to express their opinion. I can see, I can kind of see both sides. I could kind of see why Anthony Edwards said what he said, but I can also see why Victor said what he said. And I'm going to explain myself, right? Not everybody is meant to to be expressive. Not everybody is meant to, to be in front of a microphone. Not everybody's ready for that. Some people are born with it. Some people are not born with it, but they learn over the years. So I can see why, and I can also see why Anthony Edwards will say he's kind of like protecting his brand. He's being probably his PR people or whoever, his mom, manager, whoever, allegedly, we don't know who's giving him advice. They probably went to him and say, hey, we have this contract coming up, we have this sponsor coming up. You gotta, just watch what you say, don't go too crazy. So I can kind of understand on that side about Anthony Edwards being careful, because I do remember Michael Jordan when they asked him to talk about anything that was political back in the day, and he used to say, hey, Republicans also buy shoes. That's what he used to say. So Michael Jordan, that's what he used to say. Republicans also buy shoes. And so I can kind of understand he's protecting his brand. You know what I mean? And
it's true. It's
yeah,
true.
I mean, I can kind of see that. I mean,
buy the shoes.
What I was saying is I can kind of understand he's protecting his brand, but I can also understand that, for example, Victor Wembanyama, who is he's an immigrant, he's working here, but he's an immigrant too.
Right.
He's worried too, because regardless, I'm sure they will have to be crazy to go and pull over Victor Wembanyama and try to get him deported unless he does something stupid. But
right,
he's still an immigrant, so I can understand why he's worried. And they killed 2 people. They killed 2 U.S. citizens in Minnesota, and
right. Very disheartening.
So I can see both sides. Now, what I see is some people saying that basketball players should only stick to basketball. Well, they're also, yeah, so they're also human beings. They have kids in their community that, they don't, I know they live in this bubble. People think that they live in this bubble where they are, up here and everybody's down here, but they also have kids. They have families. They involve themselves in the community. They have relationships in the community. They hire some of these immigrants. They hire some of these immigrants to clean their house, to do whatever they need to do. So, it can hurt them. It hurts them too, because these people, and these people who are being, the abuse that has been going on, you develop relationships with these people. Even if they came illegal, you still develop relationships with them. And a lot of them are not bad people. They're not selling drugs. They're people trying to, just like everybody else, trying to have a better living. So I believe everybody should do whatever their conscience says. If your conscience says, like Steph Curry, he said, it was beautiful to see the protest. He said it was beautiful. Victor Wembanyama expressed himself, and Anthony Edwards expressed himself. Everybody, we're all different. We all have our free will. We all can, give our own opinion, and people just have to accept it. But don't come to NBA players and put them on this, give them this tag, or put them on this category where you say, shut up and dribble. This is all you can do, because they are human beings. They are, even if they have more money than everybody else, but they're still human beings. They are still active in the community. They still have families in the communities where they play. So this stuff also affects them. It does affect them, even if it's only the minimum. So I don't agree with this tag that, you should shut up and dribble and that's it. Stick to basketball. You don't have an opinion, just stay quiet on political stuff. No, they have a platform. They have millions and millions of followers, especially the NBA. They have millions and millions of followers, and they should be able to express themselves. But I can see one person saying, I'm not going to go too crazy and talk about it because I don't want to lose my endorsements. I don't want to lose this and that. But I can also see the other person saying, you know what, I don't agree with it. So I can see both sides, and I don't know. That's my opinion. I think our country we need we need an adult in the room right now. It's like I feel like we are our country is like a high school, like a high school right now, and you have a bunch of kids running around, hitting each other, calling each other's names and stuff, and the teachers are having a meeting in a different room. I
Yes.
believe we need an adult in the room to control what's going on. And that's my opinion on it. I believe NBA players should be able to express themselves, and I don't see anything wrong with it. I honestly don't see anything wrong.
I agree
So
wholeheartedly, and I don't blame Anthony Edwards for staying neutral because in a time now where people want you to go extreme on one side or extreme on the other side,
exactly, and they want to
he
cancel you
want to cancel
if
you.
you stick to one side. They want to cancel you.
Exactly. So, I think he's just protecting himself. I think it's more of a self-defense thing, and I don't blame him
Yes.
at
He's
all.
protecting he's protecting his brand. He's protecting his brand.
Right.
Man, this has been awesome. This has been a really good conversation. Thank you for participating, JC. I'm looking forward to for us to do this all the time. To the audience,
Me
uh,
too.
we are going to record. We're gonna try and do this at least 3 times a week. We're gonna try and do this, and but we will, we'll continue and we'll give you guys more information. But this has been awesome. I'm looking forward to this, JC. And you want to say something to the audience before we're done with this video?
Go subscribe. The Diaz Company, that's my YouTube channel, is gonna be a link in the description. And go subscribe to his channel right here, JC Diaz Uncensored. And we're gonna bring out very good content for y'all. Diverse opinions. We might not agree on everything. That's the beauty of it.
Yes.
So I think that you guys will have a good time. Listening to our opinions, and we're just gonna try to pump out as much content for y'all as much as possible, as much as we can. And so yeah,
Yes,
go hit
sir.
subscribe and go support the channels.
Thank you, guys. We'll be seeing you on the next video. This is JC Diaz Uncensored and JC the Diaz Company. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the next video. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Peace.